Hi, everybody. Mrs. McKenna here. We will be studying Act 3, Scene 1 of Romeo and Juliet today. And again, we're using myshakespeare.com. I'm going to be pausing it every once in a while to clarify some things or answer some questions that you might have in your head. So let's get started. And we're on Act 3, Scene 1. And this is the climax of the play. This is the turning point. Okay, we've got Romeo and Juliet. They were Romeo was in love with another girl in Act 1. Juliet was supposed to be set up with Paris. They meet each other in Act 2. They fall in love. Everything's great. They plan to get married. And between Act 2 and Act 3, Romeo and Juliet get married, and Tybalt has sent a letter to Romeo's house challenging him to a fight. He wants to fight him. So we're at the beginning of the play. Mercutio, Benvolio, a page, and some servants are chit-chatting because they haven't seen Romeo. They just kind of left him when they left the party. So let's find out what's happening. Here we go.
I pray thee, good Mercutio, let's retire. The day is hot, the Capulets abroad, and if we meet, we shall not scape a brawl. For now, these hot days, is the mad blood stirring.
Thou art like one of those fellows that, when he enters the confines of a tavern, claps me his sword upon the table and says, God send me no need of thee, and, by the operation of the second cup, draws it on the drawer, when indeed there is no need.
Am I like such a fellow?
Come, come, thou art as hot a jack in thy mood as any in Italy, and as soon moved to be moody, and as soon moody to be moved.
And what too?
Nay, and there were two such. We should have none shortly, for one would kill the other. Thou? Why, thou wilt quarrel with a man that hath a hair more or a hair less in his beard than thou hast.
So we see Mercutio here. He's kind of teasing Benvolio, saying Benvolio wants to fight with anybody and everybody. But in reality, we've seen Benvolio try to break up fights. We haven't seen him try to instigate any fights. Mercutio is more of an instigator of fights, and Benvolio is more of a peacemaker. Tybalt is like Mercutio, and he likes to instigate and fight as well. So let's keep going. Mercutio's being kind of joking around a little bit here.
Thou wilt quarrel with a man for cracking nuts, having no other reason but because thou hast hazel eyes. What eye but such an eye would spy out such a quarrel? Thy head is as full of quarrels as an egg is full of meat, and yet thy head hath been beaten as addle as an egg for quarreling. Thou hast quarrelled with a man for coughing in the street, because he hath wakened thy dog that hath lain asleep in the sun. Didst thou not fall out with a tailor for wearing his new doublet before Easter? With another for tying his new shoes with old ribbon? And yet thou wilt tutor me from quarreling.
And I were so apt to quarrel as thou art, any man should buy the fee simple of my life for an hour and a quarter.
The fee simple? Oh, simple.
By my head, here come the Capulets.
By my heel I care not.
Follow me close, for I will speak to them. Gentlemen, good even. A word with one of you.
In but one word with one of us? Couple it with something. Make it a word and a blow.
You shall find me apt enough to that, sir, and you will give me occasion.
Could you not take some occasion without giving?
So we see Tybalt and Mercutio. They're chatting a little bit, but they are threatening a little bit with maybe fighting or arguing, and we're going to see what happens next.
Mercutio, thou consortest with Romeo.
Consort? What? Dost thou make us minstrels? And thou make minstrels of us, look to hear nothing but discords. Here's my fiddlestick, here's that shall make you dance. Zoons, consort.
We talk here in the public haunt of men. Either withdraw unto some private place, or reason coldly of your grievances, or else depart. Here all eyes gaze on us.
Men's eyes were made to look, and let them gaze. I will not budge for no man's pleasure, I.
So we see Mercutio and Tybalt, they're verbally arguing and they're threatening by pointing to their swords. And Benvolio says he's trying to be peaceful. We're talking in public. Let's go into private. Because if you remember in Act 1, the prince said if there is another public street fight, then somebody will be put to death. So Benvolio is trying to stop the fight or prevent them from publicly fighting. All right, let's see this fight keep going.
Well, peace be with you, sir. Here comes my man.
But I'll be hanged, sir, if he wear your livery. Marry, go before to field. He'll be your follower. Your worship in that sense may call him man.
Romeo, the hate I bear thee can afford no better term than this. Thou art a villain.
Tybalt, the reason that I have to love thee doth much excuse the appertaining rage to such a greeting. Villain am I none. Therefore farewell. I see thou knowest me not.
Okay, so the evening before, Romeo crashed the Capulet party. Tybalt was very upset by that. He wanted to fight Romeo at the party. Lord Capulet said, no, don't do that, Tybalt. So this morning, Tybalt sends a letter to Romeo's house saying he wants to fight with him. Doesn't get any response because Romeo's off getting married. And when Tybalt sees Romeo, he calls him a villain. All right, those are fighting words. He wants to fight Romeo. And Romeo says, the reason that I have to love thee. All right, so Romeo says, I love you. Villain am I none. Okay, and Romeo may not, love him as a cousin or anything, but he feels some sort of love because Romeo is now related to Tybalt. Romeo married Tybalt's cousin Juliet, so Romeo does have feelings for him. And Tybalt gets angry. He thinks this is sarcastic. He thinks Romeo is, being weak and not wanting to fight him. Romeo, he tries to walk away. He says farewell, okay? But Tybalt wants a fight, and he's going to get a fight.
Boy, this shall not excuse the injuries that thou hast done me. Therefore turn and draw.
I do protest I never injured thee, but love thee better than thou canst devise, till thou shalt know the reason of my love. And so, good Capulet, which name I tender as dearly as my own, be satisfied.
Romeo tries to walk away. He goes, good Capulet, which name I tender as dearly as my own, because his wife was a Capulet until a few hours ago. Now, Mercutio, Romeo's best friend, is very upset that this conversation is happening, and he wants a fight as well.
Oh, calm, dishonorable, vile submission. Alla stoccato carries it away. Tybalt, you rat catcher, will you walk?
What wouldst thou have with me?
Good king of cats, nothing but one of your 9 lives, that I mean to make bold withal. And as you shall use me hereafter, dry beat the rest of the 8. Will you pluck your sword out of his pitcher by the ears? Make haste, lest mine be about your ears ere it be out.
I am for you.
Gentle Mercutio, put thy rapier up.
Come, sir, your passado.
So Romeo is trying to break up this fight, okay? Mercutio wants to fight Tybalt because Romeo is not fighting Tybalt. Romeo is trying to break up this fight. Romeo has his best friend Mercutio fighting his wife's cousin Tybalt, and he wants this to stop.
Draw, Benvolio. Beat down their weapons. Gentlemen, for shame, forbear this outrage. Tybalt, Mercutio, the prince expressly hath forbid this banding in Verona streets. Hold, Tybalt. Good Mercutio.
I am hurt.
So Romeo gets between Mercutio and Tybalt. He tries to break it up, but because Romeo distracted Mercutio, Tybalt goes underneath Romeo's arm and stabs Mercutio. It's a mortal wound, and he is hurt very bad. Okay, let's keep listening.
A plague of both your houses, I am sped. Is he gone and hath nothing?
What? Art thou hurt?
Aye, a scratch. Marry, 'tis enough. Where is my page? Go, villain, fetch a surgeon.
Courage, man. The hurt cannot be much.
No, 'tis not so deep as a well, nor so wide as a church door, but 'tis enough, 'twill serve. Ask for me tomorrow, and you shall find me a grave man. I am peppered, I warrant, for this world. A plague of both your houses. Zoons! A dog, a rat, a mouse, a cat, to scratch a man to death. A braggart, a rogue, a villain that fights by the book of arithmetic. Why the devil came you between us? I was hurt under your arm.
So Mercutio is mortally wounded, and he's kind of making jokes about it, all right? The wound is not as deep as a well, nor as wide as a church door, but it will serve. Ask for me tomorrow, and you shall find me a grave man. So there's a play on words, because tomorrow Mercutio will be in the grave, okay? And he says to Romeo, why did you come between us? I was hurt underneath your arm. So if Romeo hadn't come between them, Mercutio might have been able to defend himself. I'm going to stop it here, and then we are going to continue on in with another recording with the rest of Act 3. So thanks for listening, and we'll go on with the next recording in just a bit.